Mr. Cicilline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To use the chairman's words, you know what Americans can't stand? You know what they hate about this town? They can't stand gun violence, and they can't stand the fact that the Judiciary Committee has done nothing about it. That's what they really can't stand. We're not here to talk about guns in the way most of us hope we would, that 40,000 Americans' lives each year are lost to gun violence, or how gun violence has become the leading cause of death of children in America, even passing car accidents, or how we've had more than 170 mass shootings this year already, or how our kids are being gunned down by assault weapons in schools again and again and again. No. Instead, Republicans have convened today's hearing to attack the agency devoted to preventing gun violence and to try to decimate its ability to keep Americans safe. During last week's vote to dismantle the ATF rule in this committee, my colleague, Mr. Ivey, posed a simple question. What are you willing to do to address gun violence? Anything? Is there any measure you'll work on to help curb this epidemic in this country? Anything at all? I think we have our answer. We should be talking about how we support the ATF and enable it to do its job. But today, again, we're here to attack the ATF and to try to even abolish it. So, Director Dettelbach, I want to first say thank you for your service, and to the brave men and women who serve at ATF. I apologize for the manner in which you have been treated in this hearing, but I hope you understand they're not actually interested in having an answer from you. This is about making a speech and having a video clip and sending it to Fox or maybe raising money off it. So please don't feel badly that you're actually not being allowed to answer a question. So I'm going to actually ask questions, and I'd love your answers. I want to talk a little bit about how the ATF enforces laws that Congress passes and adapts to new technologies and innovations. Nearly 90 years ago, Congress passed the National Firearms Act of 1934, the first federal law regulating firearms in the United States. And as part of this law, Congress expressly regulated certain firearms and accessories because they were particularly dangerous. Americans were free to purchase them, but they had to undergo a background check, submit their photograph and fingerprints, and pay a $200 transfer fee. Today, we live in an age of 3D printers, automatic milling machines, plastics, and carbon fiber. Part of the National Firearms Act covers machine guns, guns that fire repeatedly with one pull of a trigger. We actually banned the civilian manufacture and sale of new machine guns in the 1980s, so there's only a finite amount of legal ones in the U.S. So, Director, my first question is, can you tell me what a Glock switch is?
Yes, a Glock switch Congressman, is a device that can be attached. It's usually a small piece of plastic or metal that can be attached to a pistol that changes it from a lawful semi-automatic weapon into a new and unlawful machine gun.
Into a fully automatic. So this is a device that can be attached to a legally purchased pistol, transforming the character of the gun, turning it into an illegal machine gun. Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
And you can get these for other types of guns too. For example, the AR-15.
There are machine gun conversion devices that go with a variety of different.
Okay, I'm trying to get through these quickly, so that's a yes. And the ATF regulates Glock switches in the same way as it regulates machine guns themselves. Isn't that correct?
Those devices are unlawful under the National Firearms Act.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, so they're
okay, and that's because within a few minutes' time, these devices, just a few ounces of metal or plastic, when added to a legally purchased gun, turn it into an illegal machine gun, correct?
That's correct.
And Director, the NFA also covers short barrel rifles, does it not?
Yes.
And the reason is pretty clear. Short barrel rifles can have the concealability and maneuverability of a pistol, but with the firepower and accuracy of a rifle. And with shoulder stock devices out there that now fold all the way down or telescope out, you can easily fit one inside a backpack or a briefcase, and no one would be the wiser. So, Director, the ATF issued a rule on so-called stabilizing braces recently because it was clear that many of the items being manufactured and sold as stabilizing braces were really just being used to try to get around the National Firearms Act. Isn't that correct?
Whether a short-barreled rifle is sold in one piece or two pieces and you put them together, the rule was intended to cover what Congress defined as a short-barreled rifle.
So people are taking legally purchased pistols, adding these devices marketed as stabilizing braces, but which are actually shoulder stocks, and changing the character of the gun, transforming it into an unregistered short-barrel rifle. Is that correct?
If it meets the definition under the rule, then that would be correct.
So the ATF, in recognizing new technologies that are attempting and succeeding in working around the National Firearms Act, just like Glock switches, is appropriately regulating these things for what they are. My colleagues argued the other day that just a few ounces of plastic and metal can't transform a legal gun into an illegal one, but it sounds very much like you would disagree. Is that correct?
They're not illegal. Congress has determined that there are additional safeties and regulations that apply to certain kinds of particularly dangerous weapons.
Thank you.
And you can keep them. You just have to follow the rules that Congress has set up to follow those controls.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request. I ask unanimous consent that the drawing of the actual stabilizing braces, which was not what Mr. Massey held up, that was not, in fact, a regulated stabilizer. I'd ask this document, which is the actual diagram of an actual stabilizing brace that was prohibited by ATF, so the record is not only complete, but accurate, be submitted into the record.
So ordered.
Just glad